Hello everyone. So yesterday I made a short where I talked about statuses and a problem with Jira that is actually very annoying, and you should be careful about it if you are a Jira admin or if you have Jira admin rights in your Jira instance. Now in Jira, um, there is a possibility to rename a lot of configurations, and one such configuration, one such item is status. Now the problem with Jira is that I mean it's I think it is probably a bug. I think it should be a bug, and let me show it to you. I'm sure someone has probably filed it with Atlassian, but in any case, you should know. Now in my Jira instance, I have these statuses, and these statuses are basically global. So basically, any project with a workflow, if that particular project is using these statuses, or they can basically use any of these statuses. So if there are 77 workflows where the status name is to do, then basically this status is being used by these 77 projects, or maybe potentially hundreds or thousands of maybe lots of issues. Now the problem is, you can, by the way, of course, edit the status name. So you can go here and you can say, okay, I want to call it as to do 2. And the moment you do it, you now have a new status which is to do 2, right? And if you want to perform search, you can perform search, and you can say here that, okay, I want to search for all the issues where status is equal to, and you can say here to do, right? Now this is actually a bit problematic, because if you, and by the way, this is something that you need to be careful about, because whenever you rename something, especially when it comes to Jira filters or JQL, usually, I mean, not always, but usually it is stored as it is, as a text. So if there are some issues in Jira where the status is to do, then it is basically stored as it is in the database. Now the thing is, and by the way, if you're on Jira Cloud, then you may have some statuses or some issues from Jira team managed projects. But in our case, let me just search here for to-do items, but to do 2, basically the to-do that we are looking for. Now right now, this will show us these many issues, like 645 issues. Now what will happen if I go back to my Jira instance, and if I rename this status to something else? Basically I revert it to the original to do. Now this query, although it is not broken, but it will not return anything, because the status to do is not there in your Jira instance. Now this is of course nothing great. I mean, it is, when I say nothing great, you probably know this. The main thing that I want to talk about in this video is basically being very careful when it comes to statuses and renaming them from your Jira workflow. Now imagine that there is a workflow where you have a status like in review. So if I look at my status, which is in review, and my objective is to rename the status, right? And recently I think I talked about a similar use case where when you have to replace or bring in a new status, you should probably do it. I mean, you can, depending upon how your workflow is configured, if you want to replace an existing status with another status, you need to basically clone this workflow, then work on the clone, and then apply that clone on the project, and Jira will do the migration for you. But the problem is, if you click on this status and if you click on edit, by the way, we are still working on a draft workflow. Now the moment I click on, and by the way, you can see here that on top it says that this status is used in other workflows, editing it will affect them, blah, blah, blah. We all know about it. But you would assume that if you're doing some changes here, like the moment I click on in review 2, I can of course click on save, but you have the option to also publish the workflow. Now before I click on this save button, I will go and look at the list of statuses that I have in my Jira instance. Right now the status is in review. It is being used by 12 workflows, hundreds or thousands of issues. The moment I click on save button, you would think that, yeah, I have renamed it, but the changes will be applicable when you click on the publish draft. Now the moment you go back and if you refresh, you will notice that your status has indeed renamed, and it has affected all those issues where this status is used in those workflows, 12 workflows. So this is a problem, and I will probably just revert it, because I don't really want my reports and automations or whatever to get disturbed, because this will cause major problem, because you have users who are using it, their filters will break, and people will start shouting at you, and you might lose your job. So I thought I'll probably show it to you. It is of course a very simple thing, to be honest, but it should not happen. I mean, I understand if you you want to rename it, ideally renaming should not be allowed. I think that would be the way I look at it. Even if it is allowed, I know it is only allowed for Jira admins, but still, if you are a Jira admin, because the problem is that apart from that message that says this particular status is being used in other, or it might be used in other projects, it should say that like hundreds of issues or thousands of issues or blah blah workflows are using it. That is number one. Or we should let this happen, like let people click on this, like rename this issue, and the changes should not be applied unless and until you click on this publish draft button, right? That is how it should be, because it's a big problem, and I'm telling you this because I have faced this problem. And especially when you have multiple Jira instances, you need to be, I mean, when you have multiple Jira administrators, not instances, when you have multiple Jira administrators, these small things, to be honest, there is no limit of how much you can learn, how much you should learn. I have worked with certified Jira admins, and they know absolutely nothing about how things are in real life. I mean, of course, knowing about a feature is one thing, but you using your skills in real life, in actual situations, I think that only comes from experience. I mean, you can't really do a certification with like 2-year experience. I mean, what I'm trying to say here is that even if you are someone with 20 years of experience, or maybe someone with 2 years of experience, don't really, you may never know each and everything, because sometimes people get into this zone, or when they reach a certain age or experience level, they become less careful. And usually when it comes to these changes in Jira, as I always say, each change, no matter how small or big it is, take it seriously. Have some kind of process in your Jira process or Jira change management process to basically have reviews or approvals, right? So yeah, that is all I wanted to talk about. I know in this video I showed you something that you might not know. Let me know if you know about this situation, like renaming statuses before publishing a workflow, and I hope you now know. All right, that is it. That is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new today. Thank you very much. Bye bye. And by the way, this is also applicable on Jira Data Center. Bye bye.